Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the SKNIS Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
I'm Ian Richards. Welcome to InFocus, a weekly program where we zoom in on what's happening within and throughout the government, your government. Well, on August 29, 2023, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis will officially launch the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship. The ministry's focus is to create a dynamic, resilient, and inclusive micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises sector where businesses of all sizes can thrive. Our guests today are from the Small Business Development Center, who are charged with the responsibility of moving forward the plans to grow and support the entrepreneurship climate. What strategies will be employed to achieve this, and what new opportunities exist for entrepreneurs and businesses? Permanent Secretary Delrine Taylor, Director Phillip Browne, and Senior Business Advisor Kyla Gibson-Dore are here to provide answers. Stay with us as we delve into your government, your business.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Welcome back to InFocus, and we begin our discussions with officials from the Small Business Development Center, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Browne, and Mrs. Gibson-Dore. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's give the public a sense, first of all, in terms of this new ministry. Tell us what it is about and tell us the symbolism of having this new ministry launched. Ms. Taylor, we could start with you.
Definitely. The government felt it was very important to create a dedicated ministry just to focus on our small business sector here in St. Kitts. Previously in the past, SBDC were under the Ministry of Trade, and entrepreneurship was under the Ministry of IT, technology. And they did not get their specific shine that they needed. So we felt if we're going to create this entrepreneurial culture within the St. Kitts and Nevis Federation, we have to now give it its own focus and create a ministry solely dedicated to the small business development.
Mr. Browne, you've been there for quite some time with the previous iteration, all the way back to the National Entrepreneurship Development Division. Talk to us about your feelings in terms of having the government put added emphasis on entrepreneurship and promoting small businesses.
Well, as PS would have mentioned, the SBDC would have been something that would have come out of NEDA. The journey started back in 2009. Way back in 2009, when there were just two persons at that point, and placed under the Ministry of International Trade, but with a specific focus on developing the sector. The government thought that it would make much more sense to specialize, so to speak, yes, to ensure that you have the dedicated ministry. Of course, along that journey, we would have, as SBDC, formed very good alliances. We would have formed alliances with agencies like the OAS. So in 2018, we would have moved from being NEDA to SBDC, which is a concept that exists in the Americas, and we would have gotten support through the OAS to become a part of that family. So it's a networking family, and there was a Caribbean project that would have been started, the Caribbean SBDCs. And so as early as 2012, St. Kitts and Nevis would have indicated their willingness to accede to that particular program and get the support from the OS.
So whatever advantages were offered as becoming part of the SBDC family?
becoming a part of the SBDC family mean that we weren't out there alone. It was a whole networking environment. The ecosystem, so to speak, would have been one where you're not reinventing the wheel. You are reaching out to provide support to our own entrepreneurs by way of getting support from an international setting. The OAS also would have engaged in quite a bit of capacity development for staffing and so on. So there was quite some training for the persons who are involved in delivering the services to entrepreneurs and so on.
Now, of course, we mentioned earlier at the top that the new ministry will be launched on August 29th. But I understand that there's been a number of pre-activities that have been taking place. What can you tell us about the type of activities, the type of engagements that have been taking place?
Well, most of our activities are geared solely towards networking and strengthening our entrepreneurs. And on the 15th, I think, Kyla, correct?
Yes.
On the 15th, we had our first event, which was an all-white sweat fete event over at the Port Zante, at the far end over by where the tourists would come off the ship. And we had networking opportunities for persons, but in a little more of a relaxed setting, right? So we had Elston, the sweat master, there with us, and we collaborated with Akai, to bring the heat on. And at every break session, when we cool down, the entrepreneurs were given a time to advertise their business, promote, and let the public know exactly what they have to offer and some of the services that they bring to the table. Also, the Thursday, which was the 17th, we had a community business meeting over in Keys, and that was well attended by the entrepreneurs in the respective areas, communities. We had persons from Keyon and stuff like that there representing their business, and we did collaborate with Social Security, Inland Revenue to be corrected, Dcash, and the Development Bank. And they brought some well-needed information for our entrepreneurs so that they can be aware of some of the things, some of the issues, some of the challenges that the entrepreneurs are experiencing.
Okay. And so in terms of the sweat fit, Ms. Dore, perhaps you can share a bit of insight into it because, of course, you're the senior business advisor. It included physical activity, exercise that was going to be done. Was it difficult to get persons to do that? And then tell us about the idea of having that type of physical activity being used as a new measure, I believe, to promote and get persons in to get them to realize, that there's other opportunities for networking other than, say, just mixers or social events.
I think you already answered your question, Mr. Lyman. So yes, as the PS said, it was geared towards having a not so formal networking session for our entrepreneurs. We are accustomed to having our training sessions where they come and they sit down and they listen to a lecture and all of that. So we decided it needed to be a fun activity that persons can really come together and enjoy themselves. So it was a good session. Persons enjoyed themselves. Even though we had the rain, persons still stayed in the rain and did their exercising. It was really fun. Yes.
Well, that was a question I was going to ask. How much fun could it have been exercising?
Lots of fun.
It was really fun.
Right. And so tell us then, what's planned for the ministry launch on the 29th?
Well, we are having, it's going to be a combination of the official launch ceremony and the symposium. We would have featured speakers, giving motivational and some sound feedback to the entrepreneurs. So that would start from about 9:30 and we are looking to end that at 12. And that will be over at the Royal St. Kitts. And we are inviting the entrepreneurs to come on out to be a part of that session so that they could hear some of the general business tips, general business recommendations, and also hear what are the plans for the ministry going forward. And I know you'll be very in tune because there are some exciting things to be announced at the launch.
And you said Royal St. Kitts, of course, some persons may be more familiar with it as Jack Tar.
Tar, correct.
Right. Okay. And so who can attend this ceremony? Can anybody attend? Anybody from the public?
Definitely. It's open to everyone. We are mostly catering towards the entrepreneurs for sure, and persons who are looking to start a business also, not just the existing businesses, but the potential entrepreneurs, those who aspire to start a business on their own. Probably they would like, further insights as what it takes to be an entrepreneur, because the theme for the whole launch is business beyond tomorrow.
Who came up with that? It's interesting.
We actually decided on the theme as a team.
And what essentially does that mean, Mr. Browne? Give us a bit of an insight. Business beyond tomorrow. What does that encapsulate?
Well, I would probably jump to the other piece of the slogan that we're using, and saying that we are building businesses and fueling innovation. Now we're looking towards the future. So, while we would have been engaged in providing some business support and helping entrepreneurs in various ways, we're looking towards the future. So we're looking towards taking businesses to the next level, beyond tomorrow. And we're looking at the innovative side of our entrepreneurs as well. So as it would have been aptly captured in our motto, building businesses, fueling innovation.
Because just to add, even though we say small business, not necessarily want our business to remain small. We want them to grow big. So that's why the theme ended up becoming business beyond tomorrow, because you're going to don't think small, maybe act small, but think big, So that's very important for our entrepreneurs to know that we are here for their growth and development now and in the future.
And as you speak about the innovative side of persons, of the entrepreneurs, of the small business owners, and of course those in the medium as well too, the question has to be asked, and what new initiatives are coming along with this new ministry? What innovations will there be to support and promote entrepreneurship and those who are already in business that will help them to move to their business up to as from small to medium size, etc.?
Mm-hmm. One of the critical areas we would have realized is training and development for our entrepreneurs. So we want to focus heavily on training our entrepreneurs so that they could have that entrepreneurial mindset to grow their business to the next step. Because no longer can you think small, as I just previously mentioned. You earn $10 today, you spend the $10. You have to think about, if I have $10, how can I turn that $10 into $100 and then turn that $100 into $500? And by giving them the appropriate knowledge and the guidance, they would be very equipped to take their business to the next step. Not only training, but access to finance. Everywhere you go, you hear the businesses saying, we need some financing. And we are going to put programs in place to make sure that our entrepreneurs are more bankable. We have begun our collaboration with the various financial institutions. We have the Development Bank, who is currently on board with us, National Bank. We have some consultations with National Bank. And we are looking to get the other financial institution on board so that we could provide programs that would benefit the entrepreneurs and creating that access to finance. We also want to work with the youths, because to create that entrepreneurial mindset, we have to start from the grassroots. We have to get into the schools. We have to get the younger generation to start thinking about being entrepreneurs in the future. So it's not just about training, but it's finance, the youths, and also the export when it comes to getting our persons in the regional and international market. We are currently looking to see how we could build what you might call an export arm, where we would collaborate with other departments such as Skipper, the Bureau of Standard, the Ministry of Trade, to create a program that we could, coach or mentor some of the entrepreneurs who are near export ready, to get them to that next step and get them out there in the market, get our local products on the shelves of the supermarket, in the hotels, and getting them known. It's just the other day we had the Cube, where we would have partnered with Sabre, Stacia, and St. Martin, and that again was an exposure for our small business persons, to connect with persons within the region so that they can now share their products amongst each other.
I want to go back to training, and Mr. Browne, perhaps, Mr. Dore, you can jump in here specifically, because training in what area specifically will help to promote this? Because when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's really the mindset of the person. They have to be able to be innovative. They have to have that drive, first of all, to do the market research before. And I find that most persons may not consider the importance of market research. You look around, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with selling food, but a lot of persons are selling food. Is there really a gap in the market that needs to be filled? The training must speak to these things.
Yeah, and I'm happy you raised that. And well, it just allows me to go back a little bit to an activity we had yesterday. We did what we call our business crawl yesterday. We would have gone through the entire island, making stops at certain businesses, houses, and so on, certain entrepreneurs. Spending a little time with them, patronizing them. It was sort of a listening tour as well, because we are getting information and getting feedback as to what we can do, how we can better serve them, etc. And so to come to your question now, the issue of training is pinned directly to that accounts record keeping activity. One of the areas that we know a lot of our entrepreneurs fall down in. But you know what? It is probably the biggest stumbling block to one of the major things that they always say they want: financing. Record keeping, and we want to do a lot of training in that area, is critical to you trying to access a grant. The first thing an agency that is providing grants would ask you for is 2 years of records. Automatically, entrepreneurs just turn away. Don't have that. And so we want to change that mindset where we can get people to understand that here is training which would put you in a position to access the financing, the funds that you're always saying that you need very much. You're looking for financing from a bank. Again, that those records come into play. So therefore, we are making sure that we make that step and provide the training in those areas that would help the entrepreneur to access some of these additional resources and so on that they would need for the establishment and the growth of their business.
And Mrs. Joe, the record keeping also is important because at the end of the day, persons go into business for profit. And you must be able to find out if you're making a profit or not.
Yes, of course. So that's why we emphasize on that. And also that's why we have partnered with Dcash. They recently joined us on our community business meeting. And, the app, it has a automatic history record that persons, once they channel their business transactions through it, they have an automatic record of their history so that they can take to the bank or provide the record to whatever funding agency that comes to them offering them funding, right? So we are trying to make sure that they are bankable. Persons can see that they are generating income to support their business and to show that their business has the potential to grow.
And in terms of the export aspect of it now, of course, assistance will be sought with different agencies, as you mentioned, in terms of Skipper as one possible agency. I imagine the Ministry of Trade would also. But the question is also asked in terms of new development. We heard the Foreign Minister and the Minister responsible for Trade, Senior Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, speak a bit about the CET. That it is something, the Common External Tariff, for those who may not be aware, it is something that will have to be reintroduced because St. Kitts and Nevis faces lawsuits, the threats of lawsuit by other member states. How will that impact these young entrepreneurs as they are trying to establish themselves, not just in the local market, of course they have to do that here first, but also when it comes to export?
Well, we are currently working alongside with the stakeholders, like as you said, the Ministry of Trade, and we are aware of some of these challenges and these issues. And right now we are pen to paper to see what are the pros and the cons of certain things in terms of the export arm. And just recently, there's this company, certification company out of Jamaica that was recently here. Bottling company would have gained that certificate, that right to now sell their, brewery drinks out there in the region, and that is something that we are looking to partner with them so that we could get our entrepreneurs to have that certification so that they can legally, legitly enter the regional market. In terms of the tariffs and stuff like that, we are still working with, we have customs also on board, and we actually have to sit and make the assessment to come up with a policy plan to deal with those issues.
Mrs. Joe, anything? Okay, Mr. Browne?
Okay. No, I just wanted to kind of compliment what Pierce was saying there, because the issue is deeper. Basically, what is happening is that our Caribbean brothers and sisters would be saying to us, well, look, we can provide these items, so you can't necessarily go and source them from outside of the region, because we can provide, and we can provide in numbers. What we are hoping that we can achieve here as well, in terms of our own exports, is a change in the mindset of our entrepreneurs. There are some things that are required. I mean, even looking at standards, maybe coming together for some of them, looking at the volumes that you can produce, and come together and create a export label, so that when you're looking at trying to reach into markets, and somebody would say, well, I need 3 containers of this every 3 weeks. You have to scale up to do that. And so it's a mindset where we are looking at how we can, encourage and inculcate that culture of collaboration, that culture of scaling up if you work together to get it done. So training is a big part of it. And standards, working along with the Ministry of Trade, specifically the Bureau of Standards, to ensure that the things can in fact meet the market standards, etc.
You want to add anything, Mrs. Joe?
No, the PS, she covered it, yes,
okay.
yes.
All right, I saw you, as you were making notes, I thought that you were going to make a contribution.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so what we'll do is that we're going to take a quick break at this time, and we'll be right back with more of a conversation here. Thank you for staying with us. We will be right back with more in Focus. And welcome back to InFocus. We continue our conversation with Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Small Entrepreneurship and Business.
Small Business and Entrepreneurship.
Right, and that would be Miss
Taylor.
Miss Taylor. We have Mr. Browne, who is the Director with us, and Senior Business Advisor, Mrs. Gibson-Dore. So we want to stick a bit on the training aspect of it now, because the training, as we established, is very important, especially for entrepreneurs who may be entering the business. Talk to us a bit about the in-training curriculum that is being used by the ministry to prepare persons to come in and become entrepreneurs.
Okay, so as you said, one of our flagship programs is the import duty waiver. And the persons who come to our ministry to seek that concession, they are put through our in-house training session. And there we give them, they attend a 2-hour training session where they are counseled on basic business management principles. Of course, in that session, we emphasize on the need to be licensed, the need to be up to date on your payments to Inland Revenue, Social Security, the need to keep proper records to ensure that you can further develop your business through accessing loans and grants. So yes, we want to ensure that our clients, the entrepreneurs out there, that they know how to manage their business, because we don't want them to start the business now and end up in trouble later on because they don't have the know-how to manage their business, to run their business. And of course, we are giving them the import duty concession, and we don't want to say waste that duty that we are giving them giving them that duty, and then later on the business just ends.
And that's something that I wanted to touch on, the import duty. But before we get to that, in terms of the training, are persons responding? Are persons coming out and registering and attending? Because there's one difference between registering, there's another difference between attending. And of course, we would have seen persons who are looking at the program on television or on social media. They would have seen during the break where you would have had pictures from the development sessions that you mentioned in Keys. Are persons really coming out and responding to that?
Well, we have seen an increase in those persons coming to the ministry. Previously in the past, most persons would just come just to access the import duty concessions, and it is mandatory that they have those trainings, so you don't see them giving any problems with that because they want the concessions at the end of the day, so they come forward for the training. But most recently, we have seen a number of persons just coming in because we are now heavily marketing the ministry and bringing some awareness to persons out there. So persons are now more aware. I think maybe before they were not aware that there's such a ministry or department specifically dedicated to entrepreneurs. And what we want to encourage is persons, even if you have a business idea, to come to the ministry. We have business advisors to sit with you for a one-on-one consultation. You book the appointment. Let us see your business plan, your proposed business plan. Let us see where you want to be in the next 5 years. Let us provide some expert advice to you to see, well, maybe you can make some adjustment here. This is how the market is trending, and provide them with the general information. So even though their business has not yet kicked off, let's say startups, we provide them with the assistance in the expert knowledge, so that once that business starts, it's start on a road to success.
How many of them do have a business plan?
Well, majority of them don't have a business plan, and that is what we are trying to, encourage most persons to get a business plan. We have a small template that what we do, because we would find some persons would come with a business plan and they can't tell you A from Z within the business plan, so you know for a fact that somebody probably wrote it for them. So what we encourage is we give them a little template, ask them to go and populate the information, and then once they come back, we would do a little sit down with them, go through the information step by step, and formulating that whole business plan. So by the end of the day, when they have to take that to the financial institution and they ask the question, they're not scratching their heads or they're not knowing what is in the business plan, but they are well aware, and then it gives them a sense of pride and a sense of accomplishment, because they can now stand firm and say, this is my plan. Within the next 5 years, I anticipate to grow my income by 5% or 10%, and they know what are the things that they need to do, what needs to be executed for them to reach to the next step.
Mr. Browne?
Yeah, Ian, to your question, I want to give you 2 words to directly answer your question. Yes, persons would have been coming out, so that's the yes, they're training, they're responding. And in fact, we have seen an oversubscription. We've been oversubscribed the last 2 training efforts that we have put on.
Why do you think that is?
I think they're getting the message. They're seeing what's in it for me. And apart from the fact that we would, maybe for want of a better word, ambush them a little bit when they come for the import duty concession, right? I think we are now getting it across that we are providing a holistic type service. So you are getting the import duty concession, yes, but you're getting support with the business plan to get that money from the bank. Then when you go to the bank now, and you originally would have been trying to borrow, let's say, $100,000, because you're getting import duty concessions, you're borrowing some now. It's probably $75,000. So they're seeing the linkages and let's say the interfacing of what we are doing with the entire business. The support is making sense to them now, and that is in large measure because we would have refocused and created a ministry that doesn't have the distraction of some other activity, but directly focused on the development of the entrepreneur and the sector in general.
And so the statement was made, and Mr. Dore, perhaps you can share here in terms of the importance of raising awareness of the work that the Small Business Development Center is doing, or that it is offering, I should say, to persons who are interested in getting into business or those who are in business? Because, as mentioned before, it's important that if you get into business, that the government is interested in having you stay in business.
Yes, we are the Ministry for Business Support. We are the business support arm of the government. We know that small businesses are important. Mr. Browne likes to say they're the engine of the economy. They help to grow the economy, and so we need to ensure that they continue to grow. So they are important to us, and our services must reflect that, and we must provide them with quality service. So we want persons to know that we are out there and that we are there to help them. Don't stay there and flounder on your own. Come to us and let us see how we can advise you, right? And we have relationships with various stakeholders, various business advisors out there, experts in their field that we call on to assist us in the training when we need to. And we just want to thank those persons out there because they have been with us for a long time and they are willing to provide their support to us free of cost most of the time. So we thank them for supporting the ministry.
Where can the public engage the services of the ministry?
Well, you can visit us. We are currently located on Printer Street in the Scott Keynes building, first floor. And we have our Facebook page, Small Business Development, SBDC, Small Business Development Center, SBDC St. Kitts. You follow us there on social media. We have a WhatsApp chat. Most persons are into WhatsApp, have first-hand information of anything that the ministry is doing. And I think people like the feel of it and, the buzz, what's being done and created within the ministry. So they want to know, how can I be a part of that? And that is why we have seen an increase in the businesses coming forward.
So they want to know, how can they benefit from the import duty waiver?
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, for the import, not just startups, for any small business, and to be a small business, you have to have less than 30 employees. Your annual income turnover have to be less than 1 million, and your overall net assets has to be less than 2 million, right, to be qualified as a small business. And you can get import waiver on any items that is going to be used directly into the business. So like vehicles, equipments and stuff like that, you can acquire import duty on.
I think Pierce would have covered the import duty part of it, but earlier you mentioned the word gap. At some point you did also speak to what's new, innovation. What are we doing? How can they benefit? And one of the things that, apart from the fact that there are a number of things that we would be rolling out over the next couple of months, and so we would hope to be back here, maybe back in the media, giving that kind of good news. But one of the things that we are looking at right now as we speak is how can we ensure that entrepreneurs, people have this entrepreneurial culture, and how can we ensure that their services and their products are known of, can be reached. For instance, we are now engaging in creating what we are calling a STS register. It's a skills, trades, and services. How easy it is for you to find a plumber? And I'm certain that there are a lot of maybe young entrepreneurs out there who can do plumbing. How easy it is for you to find an electrician? There are entrepreneurs out there, a landscaper. And I think, previously, in years back, we would have known of what was known as the yellow pages for businesses. But our entrepreneurs don't have yellow pages, right? And so what we are encouraging right now, and this is a new program, a rollout program, we are encouraging persons to visit us, whether physically or go on our electronic sites, virtually, reach out to us and register your skill, your trade, your service, these entrepreneurs, so that we can then help to expose you to markets and to training, because you would now be a part of that family, that SBDC family, that Ministry of Entrepreneurship and Small Business and Entrepreneurship family. So when we are having these training activities, we reach out to you. You're automatically invited to participate and so on, and that kind of stuff. But the good thing about it is that you as an entrepreneur, as a plumber, electrician, a joiner, carpenter, you now would be able to be on a platform where persons can go on and find you. And so that to me mainstreams a lot of persons who would be out there and maybe looking for something to do, hoping that somebody would reach out to them.
But equally important to that registration, it has to be included in it a rating system. Because we have issues here, and it's not just in St. Kitts and Nevis, with skills men, tradesmen, or women, of course. You hire someone to do a job, they drag their feet, they take their time, they overcharge you, they don't show up at all. That registration system, to my mind, should have a rating system. Is there that included in there?
Yeah, one word, yes. Obviously, you would have been somewhere outside my corridor this morning as I was preparing to come here. We had that very conversation with our platform developers or IT people, and that was in fact the first question: are we doing a rating system? The answer is yes, because that rating system maybe is a double-edged sword, but if you're good, and it gives you more business. It puts you out there to the world. But yes, persons must also know what they're getting into, at least from maybe some experiences of other persons. So yes, there is in fact a rating system attached to it.
Okay. And now for persons who, I know that involved in the poverty alleviation program, the government of course would have initiated certain issues and initiatives that should say that where they can be further empowered to help themselves. And entrepreneurship, of course, is one area that the government is promoting. Any engagement with persons who may be on the poverty alleviation program?
Definitely. We had a training exercise with them. The PS for social development would have reached out to us because, they would have appointed caseworkers to some of these persons. Most of these persons should have a caseworker, and they would have expressed their interest in actually starting a business. So she would have reached out for us to collaborate with some training exercise for them, and we did deliver some training on general business management for over 50-something potential entrepreneurs. That is a part of the PAP program. And we intend to continue that initiative. We tend, as it develops and they get more persons on it and more persons express their interest in becoming an entrepreneur, we are there to deliver those trainings. Because once those persons successfully start their business, they can now graduate from that program because they will now be earning more income, and that's a benefit significantly important for the government, because even though these social programs are geared towards helping the less fortunate persons, it's not like you want your citizens or to remain on those programs. You want to elevate them. So putting training with those programs, and even potentially I'm gonna speak on it now, the peace program, that is something that probably needs to infuse some training there, because most of those youngsters probably would benefit from some training, general training, so that they too can start a business, so that they can level up as well.
So peace is now called Elevate, and there are some aspects in it, at least initially, that was built in for training, and some of them of course do have businesses. So are you saying that SBDC was not involved in training when it comes to what was the peace program at that time?
Well, I can't speak to that in the past.
I will attempt to answer it. We weren't. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we are really looking forward to is that collaboration amongst ministries.
Yes.
In terms of how we can do things together. So we are excited over the fact that we would have had one such training with the persons on the PAP, because that is one ministry relating to the other ministry. You have a ministry involved in training and business training and so on. Even people on the STEP program, for instance, because a lot of these people, we are placing them in people's business. And if you are going into somebody's business, the way you excel is that you probably got to take business think that is your business and you work well. But if persons have no clue, no idea of, standards, little standards, business ethics, how you work, it's a problem. So we are excited over the prospects of being included, being more involved in providing training, especially across these government initiatives where we can, make a difference.
Yes, and of course the goal is to conserve government resources, because we can't have various ministries putting on the same programs. We want to be impactful with the limited resources that we have.
Yes.
Mrs. Dore, I also want to ask you in terms of, as we speak about persons who maybe moved into the different areas of entrepreneurship, such as in what was the Peace program, now Elevate, and also with the STEP program. There are some persons who are involved in agriculture. Do persons involved in agriculture basically see themselves as entrepreneurs, or are they just concerned about having their produce grow, picking them, harvesting them, going somewhere, wherever they may sell their business, wherever they may play their trade, and selling their products? Do they see themselves as entrepreneurs? Do they have that mindset that, they can grow their business as well too, and offer it not just to persons who may be walking around Basse or Charlestown, but who are in the hotels, to coming together and selling them to the hotels and the various stakeholder agencies here in St. Kitts and Nevis, such as supermarkets and other retail outlets?
Well, we, Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, it's our sister ministry, our department. So, of course, we work closely with them. And that is the idea, to get farmers out of the mindset of being just farmers and just setting up a stall, helping them to understand that they are business owners and that their businesses can go beyond just farm to stall, and that there are other avenues out there in which they can sell their products. Of course, we are trying to help them to also realize that there's goodness in collaborating, coming together, and meeting the market demands, because one farmer alone can't meet all the demands, and we don't want all the farmers doing the same products and trying to sell to the same man, and then you have the spoilage and all of that. So, of course, we are trying to enlighten them on all the various avenues of good business management principles, such as collaborating with one another.
And also a part of agriculture, the development of it and the innovative part of it, as we discuss innovation, is agro-processing. Any support in that area there?
Definitely. It's been a little bit challenging for our agro-processors, so I'm going to be quite honest here. And as we speak, we are working on coming up with a policy plan to help our agro-processors in terms of importing some of their raw materials, because that is one of the areas of concern for our agro-processing persons. Just recently, I would have sat with the PS for Agriculture, and we are working on a way to provide a little relief for our agro-processors in terms of their inputs, their raw materials, and also their packaging materials.
So what would that relief entail? Essentially, can you give us a glimpse?
More or less concessions again, making sure that they are able to get the duty-free off on it, and maybe even the shipping cost is what's really the killer for some of these agro-processors. So getting all their packaging material at a reduced rate once they get them in here, because most of these stuff are not manufactured here. They have to bring them in, like the bottles, the jars, the lids and stuff like that. So, and that is what they use on a daily basis to package their final product.
Just to add to that, Ian, as a matter of fact, you're hitting the nail on the head, because it does involve some policy changes. The exact benefits, like PS would have referenced, packaging material, jars, the lids and all that kind of stuff. And we are noticing that, for instance, even in the support we provide for small businesses, we are functioning on a 2009 Act. And you may have realized that maybe as early as October last year, maybe 2 months after the government would have been changed, we went to Parliament to adjust, to make some adjustments to that at least one adjustment. And we have several other adjustments on the table while we continue to work on the big package. But what we are doing as we speak is engaging in some of those areas that would make sure that our policies align with what are the needs, the requirements of our entrepreneurs. So we are working on those policy adjustments and legislative change, etc.
And so, of course, part of the changes that will come, and as mentioned earlier, would be having greater cooperation with different ministries, different agencies, and also financial institutions. We're going to talk a bit about that, but first we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more In Focus. Welcome back to In Focus. We continue our discussion with the Permanent Secretary, Kyla, Director Browne, and Senior Business Advisor Gibson-Dore, and they're with the Small Business Development Center. So let's talk a bit about now, as we said, the financial institutions, first of all, because I believe persons who are out there who have an idea that they want to have a business, and or those who do have a business and they want to succeed. Of course, we're still recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, and they may need some additional assistance in terms of finances. How can the ministry help in this regard?
Well, we are currently working with the various financial institutions. The one program that is up and running right now is the one with the Development Bank that has a soft loan for entrepreneurs at a 2.5% interest rate. And we are encouraging persons to take advantage of that opportunity to give your business the needed boost to get back on your feet. We are also collaborating with other financial institutions like the National Bank, Bank of Nevis, the credit unions, to see if they can offer similar programs to what is currently at the Development Bank, maybe even some interest-free loans. We are trying to work on to see if we could, give the entrepreneurs the needed support in terms of access to finance that they so desperately need.
Is there a limit to that Development Bank initiative, or does it depend on, of course, the business itself and what they want it for?
Well, there's no limit, but of course it depends on, the information that you present to the bank and how much monies you probably can afford to take at that one point in time, but there is no limit.
Yeah, again, to complement this, the issue with maybe I should not call it issue, but there's a collaborative approach with the financial institutions. For instance, the Development Bank, as Pierce would have alluded to, we're supporting the program, but we're doing more than supporting. What we would have done is engaged in discussions with the Development Bank so that we, as the technical the training arm, can provide the assistance, for instance, a business plan for that entrepreneur who walks into the bank and say, I'm trying to recover from COVID and blah, 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 but I need this. And the bank say, well, show me, right? And that is sometimes a deterrent. So what we would have done is formalized that collaborative effort with the Development Bank so that the entrepreneur walks in, says, this is what I need. The bank says, okay, fine, go across to the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, get your business plan done, get the support you need there, and then come back. So within that 2-week maybe appointment timing, because you go to the Development Bank and there's quite a bit of a wait sometimes because there are a number of persons trying to access funds, especially reasonably priced and interest rates and so on. So we use that 2-week window to provide all the support, the documentation, the business plan development, and all of that kind of stuff, so that when they return for the appointment now, they're ready. So it's a structured type collaboration. as a matter of fact, the SBDC, which would have existed prior to the establishment of the ministry, which is fused into the ministry, that is the way that it is set up. It's set up in a sort of hub and spoke kind of way. We have stakeholders. So you have the SBDC, but you have the financial institutions, you have the educational institutions, because we tend to work with people like the CFB and so on. And what we did, for instance, we had a program, and we still have that program with the credit union. Persons who walk over to the credit union seeking small business loan for supporting their small business, they would have been referred based on our memorandum to us to again get some training, develop the business skills, the savvy and so on, and you go back to the credit union with a little certificate which would say to them, look, I've gone through this training, I've done this, I've done that, and so on. And so it comforts the financial institution somewhat to know that, well, I'm not just throwing some money out there in the dark, but we're supporting an entrepreneur who has some know-how and some training as to how he or she will conduct the business activities. So yes, the collaboration is between, like I said, financial institutions, educational institutions, etc.
And just to add quickly to what Mr. Browne was just saying, there's an approved small business status that we ask businesses to apply for. And it's with our consultation with these financial institutions, we are trying to see how that status can give them some advantage in terms of some of the programs that the banks have to offer, because we have to go through our requirements, our criteria, to see how it would fit some of the criteria that the bank is already doing, so that they don't have duplicated efforts in terms of the resources. And also say, well, if I have this approved small business status, then maybe I can get a 2% interest rate as opposed to a 2.5% interest rate. We are not quite there yet, but that is the discussion we are currently having with the financial institution. Once the businesses acquire that piece of paper where they would have present, good standing reports, their business plans, some predicted financials, they would have had to undergone some training like Phillip mentioned, and at the end of that whole experience, they would have acquired a certificate that would say, I am an approved small business. And once they take that to the financial institution, not just the financial institution, we're going to take it a step further, and we're going out to the business support companies like maybe the cable or the TDCs, to see what that piece of document, what they can buy for the business, do for the small businesses to help them in their endeavor for success.
Get some credits.
Right, okay. And as we speak about, of course, targeting the different sectors within the population, of course, the question also, as we speak about persons getting back on their feet as they continue to recover, and having persons become more independent. For instance, we know that there are a lot of women, single mothers in particular, who are on the poverty alleviation program. We did speak about some of the assistance that is being provided there. But I want to target specifically on the aspects of assisting women who may be interested in entrepreneurship, in terms of any programs or activities that the ministry collaborates with in terms of promoting that.
Okay, so the ministry collaborates with two organizations. First, we collaborate with the Taiwanese Mission. They have their Women Empowerment program, and they provide, the program has been extended. The first initial aspect of the program included financial funding for the women. They were given $3,000. Some who were the elite were given an additional amount of money. Along with this, there was business training, business plan development. Now they have, and of course, personalized business advising, one-on-one, going to the business and seeing what help they need. And now they have extended the business advising aspect of it, and they have also included males as well. So any persons, this is a program that's currently going on, any persons who are interested in having business experts come into their business to give them advice as how to grow their business, they can connect with us and we can help them to sign up for the business advising part of this program. Additionally, there is also the OAS program. They are also for women empowerment. So they are providing an incubator type of program where they get business advice, business training to grow their business. And they, of course, they're having business experts doing these training. And also part of it is to provide this online clearinghouse aspect of it, where all things business related in terms of business support organization, business licensing, how to set up your business, and that sort of thing, what organizations to visit, that will be placed there on the clearinghouse for St. Kitts, and persons can go directly there. No need to run around or call around to find out the information. It will be there. And they also provided these women already with training on how to use the MetaSuite, Facebook, Instagram, those sort of things, how to leverage that to grow their business. So those are two of the programs that are in place right now for women entrepreneurs.
And quickly, PS, because we're up against the clock, as Mrs. Gibson-Dore spoke about the incubators, will the ministry be doing any of that?
Yes, we are currently in discussion to see how we could come up with similar programs to benefit our entrepreneurs in terms of mirroring some of those programs that the OAS and the Taiwanese would have put on for the women and stuff like that, because we realize that they need this support, especially in the startups. And if we're going to make sure that we develop these entrepreneurs, we have to have these things in place for them.
And as the government pursues the sustainable island state agenda, is assistance provided for any entrepreneurs or any businesses out there who are engaged in the green economy?
Well, yes, we also partner with another regional organization, the Global Green Growth Institute, GGGI, 3Gs and I. Yes, they are concerned with the environment and social wellness of the region. So any business that is environmentally friendly or socially friendly, they are geared towards them. Previously, well, it's a 3-year program. It involves an incubator program, an accelerator program, interest-free loan, and they have now recently added business support development. So currently, there is the incubator program that is going on. The past 2 cohorts, we had winners for St. Kitts. We had 1 winner in the first cohort and 2 winners in the second cohort. They were involved in a business plan competition, and the goal of it was to win US $10,000. So we had 3 persons winning $10,000 each. And then they recently closed the call for applications to the interest-free loan of up to $50,000.
US?
So, yes. And so once they had the sustainable friendly aspect to their business, they were able to apply for that. They are currently in the process of accessing applications, and they're encouraging persons who apply to check their emails to ensure that they see the emails and respond to any request for further information. And like I said, they just started, they engaged a business support agency to help develop the business support agencies on ground to further help the entrepreneurs that came to them after the program is done, because they don't want to just leave them there. So once this program is over, we here at the SBDC should be able to support these green entrepreneurs.
And can you tell us in terms of the areas where the winners, where they operate with in terms of the green economy? Okay,
so we had Mother Becky Bushti, that is Mr. German Mike. He won in the first cohort, and he has a bottled bush tea, and his business has a sustainable type of concept. So he recycles his bottles, he uses recycled packaging and that sort of thing. The two recent winners, Miss Wilma Hutchinson, she has an egg production business, and she used solar energy on her farm. And then there is another young lady from Nevis, and she's into recycling waste into organic compost for farming. Yes.
And PS, we're out of time, but I just want to give you a quick word to say in terms of, to assure the public in the sense of that when the training is done, that there is continuation, that you don't just train people and leave them.
Definitely, and we actually just roll out our monitoring and evaluation program where after these businesses would have had the initial contact with the ministry, we have this mentorship program that we keep up to date with them. We follow them up 3 months, 6 months, whatever support that they need. We make sure that they are sticking on the right track. If they fall in hard times, how can we get you back up and running? If there's areas of development that you need training in, we offer those training. If there's programs out there to get you the necessary support you need, we point you in the direction of these programs so that you can get the necessary support. So we don't just give you the assistance, the import duty today, and then leave you for you to come back every minute to say, well, business is down again, I need some extra support. We actually work with you so that at the end of the day, the ministry can now knock on some of these doors and say, we are looking for some contribution and support because you have now grown to the next level, and be able to be a part of all the success stories so that persons can now learn and aspire to be like those entrepreneurs.
So the success of those businesses is the success of the SBDC and
Definitely.
also the success of the government.
Definitely. So their success is our success.
P.S. Taylor, Director Browne, and Business Advisor, Senior Business Advisor, Gibson-Dore, thank you so much for being with us for this edition of InFocus. And thank you, viewers and listeners, for joining us for this edition of InFocus as well, too. We encourage you to join us same place, same time for another edition. I'm Ian Richards.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the SKNIS Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.